This is the Stine Seedcast. I'm your host, David Thompson. Join me as we visit with growers, agronomists, seed experts, and other industry professionals about seed, agronomy, and the business of farming. Hello, and welcome to the Stine Seedcast. I'm David Thompson, National Marketing and Sales Director for Stine Seed Company. Today, we welcome to the Seedcast two very special guests, Brady Klotz and Schlipf, who are sales interns for Stine Seed Company this summer. So, thanks for joining us, Brady and Autumn.
How are you?
Nice to be here.
So in this episode, Brady and Autumn are going to tell us about their background in agriculture, and they're going to talk about their plans for the future and their experiences as Stine interns this summer. So let's get started. All right, so for starters, I guess let's maybe start from the top and tell us a little bit about yourselves and where you're from. And obviously you're in school, so what you're studying. So maybe Autumn, if you want to go first.
Yeah, so I am from a small town in Illinois called Gridley. It's actually more of a village. There's not much around. It's all flat cornfields, and I love every bit of it.
What would be the next nearest town that someone might be able to pinpoint?
I am about 45 minutes away from Peoria, Illinois, and 20 minutes north of Bloomington Normal.
Okay.
So that's where I go to school. I'm a junior, or I just finished my junior year at Illinois State University, studying ag business and business administration.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, that's my background. I grew up on a small family farm. We do corn and soybeans and precision planting. I tear apart planters in the winter. And, yeah.
Cool. Well, how about you, Brady?
Well, I'm Brady Klotz, and I'm from northeast Kansas, and I'm from a little town of like 600 people called Hoyt, and it's just north of Topeka, and not many people know about it unless you actually just take the time to stop and, swing through, because it's just a little, it looks like a section on a map. It's just a little section of ground, and that's the town. But I grew up but kind of around with my uncle and my grandpa on a 1,500-acre row crop farm. Run about 150 head of cattle through the year, and been around it, done a lot of sports in my life, so I kind of got away from it there in high school, always doing sports and traveling for that.
Sure.
But got back to college at Northwest Missouri State and kind of got right back into the swing of ag, and now I'm studying ag science, and I'll be going into my senior year. So graduate in May and then go from there.
Oh, nice. Well, sounds like you both have a really deep background in agriculture, which is always fun and always helpful when you're working in the field of ag. So, I guess before we get into the details on internships, what do you do when you're not interning for Stine and when you're not studying? What do you like to do, Autumn?
Oh, it feels like I'm always have something to do. Whether it's travel, I am currently raising now 5 Brittany Spaniel puppies. We bred one of my dogs, and so I'm working on that, and that's a full-time job in and of itself.
I can imagine. Yeah, that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Cool.
I just got back from East Tennessee for a long weekend over 4th of July, visiting a bunch of people out of state.
Cool. How about you, Brady?
Well, being in the summer, I can't really do the things I like doing the most, which is, I'm a big hunter and big deer and waterfowl guy, so I can't really do that during the summer. But normally, if I'm not working or I'm not doing anything with internship or with the family, I'm probably golfing. So that's probably what I'm doing. Past that, I'll fish a little bit here and there, or hang out with the guys, and that's pretty well it during the summer. So.
Good. Awesome. Well, so I brought you guys on today to talk about your experiences as sales interns for Stine Seed Company. I guess to start from the top, you're both here, so obviously you took the role, but I'm kind of curious, what did you know about Stine maybe before you interviewed for the sales intern role? Maybe Brady?
Oh, yeah. So through the college, my first internship that I wanted to get my freshman year of college, went to a couple of job fairs and internship fairs that we had up there, and I met one of the ISRs in Missouri, Andrew Lance. So didn't know anything about Stine, never heard of him until I went and worked for him. And throughout the year, working for him throughout the spring and the summer, he kind of explained like what Stine is and kind of told me about their products. Never really got a full grasp of like what their product was. It was just we sell it and we're going to to ship it out. But he did explain that, they're a family-owned company and they've been created from the ground up pretty much. And he said they're pretty good to work for. And, I'm seeing that working this summer. And so that's kind of where I found out about Stine.
Good. How about you, Autumn? What did you know about Stine before you interviewed?
Just from having like a background in ag, I knew what Stine was, but like I didn't have any like details. I knew that they were big in genetics. I knew that they were a piece of a lot of different other competing seed companies. But other than that, they were just another one of the seed companies that are around our area.
Sure. So now that you've kind of been working with the company for the last couple of months, I guess I'm curious, what have you learned since that time that I guess stands out to you?
I have learned that Stine is unique in its structure and how, I guess I have some experience with other seed companies. I actually interned for another one for 2 years. And it's a unique experience with each of them, I guess.
Sure.
The mix of a family and a company feel and getting to know all of the sales guys, getting to know the whole team within the Stine company. It's really, once you get in it, it's not that big. It's a really small world once you get in.
Sure.
And so that's been really cool to experience, to see the width and breadth of everything that Stine does, but also getting to see the people behind everything that we get to do.
Good. So, Brady, is there anything you've learned in the past couple of months that maybe surprised you?
So I would say that having worked for Andrew, that their Missouri ISR there for a little while, I didn't really know a whole lot about the products and really like truly what like Stine's like whole purpose was and how they became. And I think, going to the trainings through this internship and kind of learning the products and knowing the genetic background that they have and really how they just grow their product. And I guess I really didn't see how family oriented the whole company was. I don't really know of another seed company where you can just call the president of the company and ask them about something. And that doesn't usually happen with big businesses. So I think it's just cool to see that it really is just kind of like Autumn said, a small world. And it's just something that you don't really get in a lot of other companies. So
let's talk a little bit about your work. So, you guys have been with us now a couple months. So what kind of projects have you been involved with during your time here? Brady, what kind of work you been doing?
So most of it has been a lot of field work, a lot of stand counts, doing a lot of tissue sampling down south by Harper and Anthony. Been in the plots. We got a PDP plot, corn plot in Du Bois, Nebraska. Been in there a little bit with Danny, the agronomist. Past that, it's been just either that, doing signs, or I'm doing some paperwork or studying for, just learning the products overall in general. So just a lot of field work, and it's been
a lot
nice.
of time in field.
Which is my favorite. I like being in a field. I don't like being in the office. So,
well, that's a good fit then.
Yeah.
How about you, Autumn?
I do something different every single day. I don't have a lot of the same thing every day, and I love that. I am very conveniently located I help 2 RSAs, so I'm a part of 2 regions, Region 12 and 13, as well as very conveniently located for 2 of our agronomists. So that means I'm either running up north to go help an ISR, put up signs, get them the stickers that they need, go check out one of their plots, or doing stand counts, or meeting up with an agronomist to go fly a drone for a day, or to go take plot notes. Or sometimes some guy needs some seed from point A to point B, so I'm driving all day with a seed box in the truck. It's really different every day, and just a big Jenga block of everything that I have a massive to-do list, and I'm just reorganizing my days, and it is so much fun.
Sounds like organization is important in that kind of situation.
Very.
So you kind of segued into my next question was, you gave me a nice little overview of, because you do interact with more than one rep. Brady, I can't remember. How many reps do you tend to interact with?
So right now I'm really just working with 2 in Kansas, and there's only 3 in Kansas, but Dylan Harshbarger down by Harper.
Yep.
And Neil Haverkamp in Seneca. Those are the two closest to me. I have done some stuff for some Missouri guys just because Eric Webb's region is pretty big for 38. It's pretty big.
Yep.
So if I'm not in Kansas, for the week, he'll probably send me to Missouri, which he has. He sent me to Missouri, and I'm helping those guys out a little bit. I mainly work with the guys in Kansas, so I'm with those two most of the time. So I haven't really met all of the people in his region, but I have done some agronomy trainings where I have met them all and kind of got to know them a little bit here and there. But mainly I stay in Kansas and work down south and work up north. So,
have you guys had the opportunity to interact with, some of our grower customers maybe in the field?
I think that I have, yes. I don't remember his last name down south, but his name's Randy, and he works with Dylan, and Dylan has switched him completely 100% Stine product, and he now grows, I think. So it's been cool to work with him, and he'll have us over for family dinners down there, and we'll just always be over at his house hanging out. So it's been pretty cool to see the interaction between those two down there.
Good.
Yeah. Ian Motzenbacher and I went down to one of our ISRs, one of Andrew Colgrove's ISRs, Randy Wheeler, and we went around, drove around, saw a bunch of fields, saw a few replant fields that we needed to get our opinions on, and talked to some growers around him. So I've done some grower interaction with them.
So I guess I'm a little curious, you guys both come from ag backgrounds, and now that you've had experience with internships in the ag business, is it lend a bit of a different perspective from what you knew growing up now that you've worked on the, let's call it the ag input side? Mm-hmm. Is it just, different?
Yes.
Does this help explain some of the world today?
Yeah, it's different in a lot of regards. It's also different. It is different just like seeing the back end of everything, but it's also different because I'm no longer just the semi-intelligent hard laborer for my father on the farm who gets told what everything is and not exactly why. I get to ask a few more questions here and get to understand and actually give a little bit of input into the decisions that are made, which is really fun and a great learning experience.
So it makes a dinner table conversation a little more lively.
Yeah, I have a lot more stories to tell him.
Yeah. How about you, Brady?
I'd say it's been quite the experience overall. Being young and kind of being around my grandpa and uncle a little bit, and some days I'll see them want to strangle each other because they're arguing back and forth about something on the seed side or chemical side.
Yep.
And I think now I kind of know where, sometimes it's tough trying to get seed from a guy. And now I kind of get where they could, we don't get the rain in, they're not going to get their seed probably because they can't plant it. And then now I see on like an ISR's point of view down with Dylan, they have had so much rain that guys couldn't cut their wheat in time. And, you lose units because guys can't plant before an insurance date, and it sucks. So it's been pretty eye-opening to see like what can really happen in a year and how it can just switch in an instant, not being on like a farmer side, but, really being on that input side and seeing how much and how fast things can change. So
yeah, in all ways, Mother Nature still holds the cards.
Yep.
And in that example, that's a great point because, obviously we want everything to go off according to plan and for farmers to have the best crop they can.
Yep.
But then when that doesn't work out according to plan, that does also back up, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So probably what you're seeing is the result of that and
Yep.
how that impacts the sales reps and agronomy and all of those facets, which all have to turn on a heel and kind of figure out, okay, now what do we do,
Yep.
right?
Mm-hmm.
What's plan B here? So you talked about some of the work you have been doing for the company during your time here. I mean, I guess I'm curious, what of the experience you've had, what is the type of work you enjoy the most?
I'd say being in the field without a doubt, probably doing stand counts, and I like doing the tissue sampling and getting readings on that. But overall, just being in a field working all day, that's my kind of work that I enjoy and really like doing. And I don't care how long the day is. I'd just rather be out, checking plants, checking for insects, seeing if there's any plant disease, or just really just doing a full diagnostic on the field and just seeing really what's going on. So
good. How about you?
I am a Class A talker. And so I love anything that I can be talking to someone, helping them. I was raised to be helpful and to work hard and see people's needs. And so that's something I love about sales, specifically in the ag industry, because my job is just to make everyone around me the best grower that they can be. And so solving issues, the chaos of organizing my day and talking to people is just the best day ever.
Well, good. It sounds like we've had the perfect job for you then. So I think we talked about a little bit at the top, I guess, whether it's, I was going to ask if you had other internship experiences before you came to Stine. And I think in some sense you said you kind of had, but I guess for starters, Brady, have you had other internships before you came to Stine?
So like I said before, the first one that I had was with Andrew.
Yeah.
That was my first real college internship was with him.
So it's basically being embedded in basically a seed dealership.
Just
right?
being in a seed shed the whole summer and spring and just doing everything that he's doing and just kind of seeing how it runs and flows. And I really think that is where I first got hooked on the whole seed industry, was working for him. That's kind of what kind of hooked me into it.
Okay.
Seeing the interaction between him and his customers and how easy it was just to, just have guys come in there and they need something and you can provide that for them. And I think that's why he's so successful, is because he's in a spot where guys can come to him and he can give them their product, and then that's what keeps them happy. I did do another internship with MFA there in Maryville. Kind of just turned into like a college job. It was an internship at first, but then I got hired on as just like a part-timer for a little college gig. Did that my sophomore summer. I'm junior summer now. But then this is my technically second, third internship, I'd say, or third. So, yeah.
How about you, Autumn?
I spent 2 summers at Beck's Hybrids doing practical farm research.
Okay.
So a lot of data analysis and working out in the plots and all types of things.
Yeah, so that would have been more of a research-focused type of...
Yeah, it's its own little niche subject, because I didn't... Well, actually, I've learned more about seed this internship than I did there, because I studied chemical and production practices, which is very helpful when talking to farmers now.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So shifting gears a little bit, I guess, as we're talking about internships, I know that internships are a super important step in a student's development as they're trying to work through getting their degree and so forth. But also, I know that they're not always easy to find a good internship. So I was curious, what are the steps you took in your travels as you've been trying to find, as you were looking for internships? Where did you go to find those? And, well, let's just start there. Where did you go to find internships, Autumn?
I looked everywhere. I went to our college career fair, and like I said, I'm a yapper, so I was having the best time talking to every single person in the room wanted to talk to all of the college students. And I had an absolute blast. Todd Schomburg, who ended up hiring me, can attest for the fact that I was running all around there finding someone to talk to. So I talked to everyone at that college fair. I looked online. I applied to anything that sounded interesting. I wasn't too choosy. I applied to everything.
Just like in breeding, it's a numbers game, right? The more swings you take, the better your odds.
Absolutely.
So now you mentioned career fair. So you're talking at your university at Illinois State there.
Correct.
Is where you, okay. All right, good. How about you, Brady?
I'm kind of the same as her. My college has about 3 or 4 career fairs a year, and I didn't really get to go to the one in October because we were rolling harvest right through the first one, and I didn't get a chance to go to it. But usually I attend every single career fair, and I look online what the college has posted, and our ag facility on campus always puts out a flyer or some kind of paper that has a list of internships that are available right now. And if I don't see something that I don't like, I won't apply for it, but usually I apply for everything that's on the message board out there. I don't remember if it was in December or early January or February, but I also met with Todd at a career fair, and we sat down and talked, and I told him I used to work for Andrew, and that I have worked for a guy that sold Stine before, and that I kind of knew my RSA now, Eric, from meeting him at Andrews.
Sure.
And he got me in contact with Eric, and then it just kind of went from there. So
Good. So I guess the second part to my question was going to be, obviously in many cases you're looking for an internship to satisfy your requirement for, toward your graduation for your degree. But at the same time, you're also probably looking for an internship that's going to provide some value to you, that's going to help you gain a skill. And so I guess I'm curious, what are some of the things that you look for or have looked for when you've gone out and tried to get an internship? What are those things about an internship that you find appealing that are going to be the triggers that make you want to at least continue with the conversation with a company? Autumn?
Yeah. So I actually don't have to have an internship to graduate. And so I get to be a little bit more choosy when deciding where and if I am going to intern somewhere. My first year, being an intern at a different company, I was really blessed to have a supervisor who taught me that as an intern, I wasn't just labor. He had a policy that there wasn't anything that he wouldn't do with us because we weren't just labor. We were there to help make decisions. And that really spoiled me. I'm not going to lie. So I wasn't walking and looking through all my opportunities and the different things posted. I was looking for something that I could actually be a part of the conversation instead of someone that was just directed to go look at a field and report back. I wanted to be a part of that conversation of what is wrong and what are we going to do to fix it.
So for you, it was important to feel like you sort of have a seat at the table, at least when it comes to, the decisions that are happening on a day-to-day basis and the work that's being done.
Yeah. Correct.
Good. How about you, Brady?
I'd say for me, when I'm looking at internships, if it's not related to my major in any way, if it's not like I emphasize in crop production, precision ag, and plant genetics is kind of what I emphasize in. So if it's not related to those three, I'm going to kind of that's not going to be my first choice, but I'm still going to look at it as a internship possibility. And I also don't have to have one for my college, but I can do it for credit. And it kind of just helps move along and keeps me a little ahead of the game of everybody else at my school. So that's what I'm doing this summer with Stine, is doing it for a college credit, and I think that was helpful. I will say that when I looked at the Stine internship, it really hit on all the things that I wanted. We were talking about seed, we're talking about plant diseases, we're getting in a field, we're looking at plots, stand counts, and we're doing all that. And we even have some precision ag involved with that too. We're doing a lot of readings down south too. We're using drones. So it's cool to be a part of all that and actually get that experience and see all that. But we're also getting some of the technical stuff, like doing tissue samplings and doing ground readings and soil sampling and all that stuff too. And it's been an experience.
So, and these are maybe experiences you hadn't had
Nope,
before.
have not
so
had those
this
before.
was kind of new territory for you.
I would say
learning new skills.
Yeah, with Andrew, it was more business oriented and doing a more how to run the seed shed and what guys are looking for and how to help them out. And there really wasn't as much technical agronomy based kind of stuff in there. So this one's definitely been everything that I've kind of looked for in an internship.
Good.
So
Good. So I guess I'm curious now that you've been, we're kind of, really probably over halfway through the summer now at this point. When you go back to school here in the fall and you're talking about your internship experiences, how will you define your internship experience at Stine when you go back and your other students or your professors say, well, what did you do all summer? And you say, well, I worked for Stine. Oh, what was that? Brady, how are you going to define that?
So I would say, because I know I'm going to get asked that question by all my professors, but they're kind of going to ask the technical side of all the specifics of what you did, and I'm going to have to tell them that it was really agronomy based, and it was just being out in the field all day and actually getting to see and watch what you started in the spring and watching it develop through the summer and into the fall, and just kind of being a part of that all the way and making sure plant health is good. You're talking to guys and seeing what they need in the field and kind of just making up bills for them and seeing what you can really just help them with throughout the summer. And I think to me, that's always a good thing, is being able to tell somebody that, yeah, you did an internship, but being able to explain it and actually break down that, yeah, I got to help this guy do this, or I went and did that for an entire day. And it's really taught me a lot, and been able to explain that it's going to be important to me to tell those guys that when I get back. So
Good. Autumn, how are you going to define your experience with Stine?
Well, we'll see in about a month, but I hesitate to define it too hard because I don't want to put a lid on that box. Definitely growing and learning. I love to just take in every experience and see what I can learn from it. So far, I've learned a lot about communication, about organizing my days, how to work remote from my supervisors and keep them in the loop, but also keep everything moving ahead. That, talking to people, it's just been a blast.
And I like that you brought up communication and organization, because those are two things that aren't necessarily specific to agriculture. But when I talk to students, I say, no matter what field you're going into, you should certainly consider taking at least one communications class, because communication and organization will take you a long, long way.
Yeah, it will.
If you master that, you're gonna do okay. So looking ahead now, I'd like to talk and learn about where you want to go from here. Now that you're at a great point where you've had a lot of your learning experience. You're well into your college career at this point. You've both had good internship experiences. So I'm sure in your mind you're thinking, okay, well, what's the next chapter going to look like? So what does Autumn's next chapter look like today? And I'm sure it varies by the day, but what is it today?
If you find out, I would love to know.
That is an honest answer, I'm sure. That makes sense.
I have the blessing and curse of I love everything. Production, agronomy, talking to people, sales. I like Excel.
Well, there'll be a job for you for sure then at that point, because that's a pretty narrow window.
I can find a passion in just about everything in agriculture. So I don't really know where I'm going to end up. Being from Central Illinois, and I want to stay around Central Illinois, there is so much opportunity in every category, in seed, in technology, in chemical, everything. So I'm just kind of step by step putting a foot forward and letting the Lord lead.
All right, so non-committal. You're not going to give me anything. That's it.
Again, if you have an inkling, you can let me know. I would love to hear it.
Brady, what do you think? What are you thinking today? What's it look like for you?
So I've always kind of wanted to do something on the sales side, and whether that was going to be, selling precision equipment or, selling seed or anything application related, it was just kind of going to depend. But I think throughout last year and kind of throughout this year, I've decided that like being something in the sales agronomist area, or just being an agronomist, or even just, I'll still even do precision ag sales. That's still something I'd entertain. So it's still a little early for me to decide anything crazy yet, but anything in one of those fields is something that I'm going to be pushing myself towards here pretty soon.
So what will you share with students when you go back, and maybe students who haven't done an internship? Because like you said, in both your cases, you said internships aren't a requirement for the course that you're studying. So how would you approach talking to a student if they're talking about, well, I don't really have to have an internship? What are you going to say to that student?
I'll be honest with them and just say if you don't need it, I would still just do it, because it puts you just one summer ahead of everybody else that didn't do one. And if you do it and you don't like it, then you know that that's probably not going to be an area for you in the ag industry in our case. And I think that's where internships can be beneficial in both ways. Is like either I don't want to do that, or I absolutely want to do that. And I think it's just a good way to kind of, one, learn, and then two, figure out really what you want to do when you graduate. So
Yeah, you bring up a great point there. Internships can be kind of the sampler platter
Mm-hmm.
of life, because not everyone is going to be exactly what you want, but you don't know that
Exactly. Yep.
until you've done it.
You
And
got to
then
do
say,
it first to see.
okay, I did that, but
Yep.
don't really want to do that for the rest of my life. So that's okay too. How about you, Autumn?
Yeah, I totally agree. Also, it's just a great opportunity to grow. College is great. We learn so much information, but when you actually get out into the real world, talking to companies, talking to farmers, XYZ, it's a little bit different. You kind of have to know how to talk to them, how to really understand their point of view, and there's no way to do that without just jumping in. And so internships is a great, safe, sheltered avenue to get in and really learn how to best connect with the industry around you, because it's a small world. I was meeting with someone yesterday who was, let's just say he was a lot more willing to talk to me when he knew where I came from. Ag is a small, small world. And so the more people you know and the more people that you have a good experience with and have a good experience with you, the better off you are in the future, even if that position, that side of the industry was not the right fit for you.
And I'd say, even piggybacking on that, like if I had to tell a student in my class that, yeah, you're going to either find out if you like it or you don't, but you're also going to make life connections through that internship. Like, I still talk to guys from internships in the past that I didn't know I was still going to be talking to, and I see them every day. So ag is all about connections and who you know, kind of like she said. And I do think that with an internship, you get a lot of connections, and that is just going to it's going to only benefit you later in life. And that's just something that I don't think anyone should skip out on. So,
And no better time to start making those connections than today.
mm-hmm.
Yep. Well, Brady, Autumn, it's been a great conversation. I've really enjoyed having you on and representing our interns here in the summer of 2025 and talking about the program and learning more about, what it means for you and the process of, securing an internship and all of that's been very valuable for us and to hear more about. So I appreciate you joining us today. I wish you the best of luck on the rest of your summer, and then best of luck in the school year to come. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Stine Seedcast. To never miss an episode, subscribe to the show on your podcast platform of choice. Have a question for our experts? Email asktheseedcast@stineseed.com to have your questions answered on a future episode. To learn more about Stine Seed Company, visit stineseed.com. And remember, Stine has yield.